You know, anyone who's ever tried to learn a new language knows that feeling, right? That moment when grammar just stops making sense and feels like this impossible puzzle, especially when you're trying to talk about something as simple as time. Well, today, we're going to deconstruct an e-learning course that tackles this exact problem head-on and figure out how it makes the super abstract rules of grammar actually feel concrete.
I mean, think about it. This is the real challenge, isn't it? How do you teach something as weird and abstract as the future, or something as solid and definite as the past? How do you take these ideas, things that haven't even happened, or memories that are long gone, and make them totally usable for a young learner? The course we're looking at today has some pretty fascinating answers.
So, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at this new kind of classroom. Then, we'll get into decoding the future. And after that, we'll revisit the past. From there, we'll explore the interactive method that makes it all tick. And finally, we'll see how it all adds up to something beyond just grammar, to true communication. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, a new kind of classroom. This is all about understanding who this course is for and what kind of tool we're even talking about.
So, the tool we're diving into is a modern e-learning ESL course. You can forget the dusty old textbooks. This is a series of sharp, digital video lessons, and each one is designed to untangle one specific, often tricky, grammar concept.
And this is super important. This course isn't just for anybody. It's specifically built for students in grades 5 through 8. Now, this age group is really interesting. They're old enough to handle real grammar, but you absolutely have to keep the content dynamic and engaging, or you'll lose them in a second.
Okay, on to our second section. Let's see how this course tackles its first big idea, decoding the future. How on earth do you make talking about what's going to happen feel simple and, intuitive?
Okay, so this is a classic trap for English learners, and the course handles it beautifully by drawing a really clear line. You use will for those split-second decisions, like when you're at a restaurant and say, "I'll have the pizza," or for predictions, like, "It will probably rain later." But be going to is for stuff you've already decided on. It's for your plans. I am going to visit my cousins next month. It's a small difference, but nailing it is what helps you sound way more natural.
So, from the future, let's jump back in time to Section 3. Revisiting the past. This is all about giving students the power to tell their own stories and share experiences that have already happened.
And here we go. We've hit one of the most famous, or infamous, parts of English: irregular verbs. Regular verbs are easy, right? They follow a simple rule, just slap an ed on the end. Walk becomes walked. Easy. But irregular verbs, they feel like they have no rules at all. Go becomes went, eat becomes ate. They just break the pattern, which means students have to learn them one by one. And yeah, that can be a huge pain.
But here's why it matters so much. This isn't just about passing a test. Mastering the past simple is what unlocks storytelling. It's what lets a student talk about their weekend, describe an awesome vacation, or share a funny memory. It's totally essential for making a real human connection.
Okay, so we've seen the what, the grammar rules themselves. Now it's time for Section 4, the interactive method. This is all about the how. How does this course actually make these ideas stick in a kid's brain?
And really, this is the core philosophy behind the whole thing. For students in that 5th to 8th grade sweet spot, you could have the most accurate grammar rules in the world, but if the delivery is boring, they're useless. The how is every bit as important as the what.
So how do they do it? Well, they use a whole toolkit of things to make learning feel active. It starts with fun animations and practical examples to make the rules super clear. But then, and this is the brilliant part, it shifts the focus to the student with interactive practice, real-life scenarios, and learning challenges that make them actually use the language, not just sit there and watch it.
And it all fits into this simple but really powerful learning flow. See it, try it, master it. First, students see clear examples. Then they get to try it out themselves with some guided practice. And finally, they prove they've got it by taking on a challenge. It's a cycle that's designed to build not just skill, but real confidence.
All right, let's wrap this up with our final section and see how it all comes together. We're going beyond grammar to true communication. Because at the end of the day, what's this all really for? The course itself says it perfectly. The goal is to bolster both grammatical accuracy and communicative competence, which is really just a fancy way of saying it's not enough to just know the rules. The real goal is to be able to use those rules to actually connect with other people. And that's the whole point, isn't it? Language learning isn't some academic game or the person who recites the most rules wins. The real win is being able to share an idea, tell a joke, ask for help, and just be understood by another person. That's everything.
And that kind of leaves us with a much bigger question. I mean, this course is a fantastic model for teaching English, but its core ideas, understanding your audience, making learning interactive, and focusing on practical skills over just memorizing facts, those could apply to anything. It really makes you wonder, what will the future of education as a whole look like?